Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the IMAA Insights and Innovations session. A very, very good session today with our amazing partners at Nine. We've got three presenters here, obviously, who leads the independent sector, which is Lee McCormick. Lee, wonderful to have you. He's going to introduce Matt Hare. Looking at Matt's hairstyle, no wonder he's named Matt Hare. And he's going to be talking through sport and what's happening with the AO. And then Anthony Smyth is going to be talking through and introducing the Nine traffic network, which was launched up the upfronts just about a month a bit ago. So I'm quite interested in hearing that myself. So without further ado, Lee, I'm going to hand over to you. And if there's any questions, just put it in the chat feature or yell it out or just wait till the end or we can connect you at the end. Lee, over to you.
Fantastic. Thanks, Sam. Hi, everyone. I hope everyone's having a great day, had a great weekend. Sam, I normally am the one that takes the Mickey out of Matt Hare, so thanks for maybe taking that away from me for the day. But
I was stealing your material. Sorry.
Luckily, he can take it. He's a good fellow. So obviously at Nine, up front, we announced a few new things. One of the big things we announced was the Nine traffic network. So I've got Anthony Smyth, who is the commercial director of Nine Radio, on the call. And of course, Matt Hare, who you've heard a little bit from already, will be presenting the Australian Open, which obviously is not new to Nine now. We're rolling into our next season. We're getting close to go time as the summer rolls in up here in Sydney. And we know that Melbourne is looking forward to hosting the event next year. So I'm going to pass straight to Anthony Smyth to start with Nine traffic network. And actually, just before I do, I've got five $50 vouchers for a quiz at the end. So make sure you're listening, writing down any key points. And what we'll do at the end is we'll roll them straight into the quiz. The first one to write into the channel with the correct answer will get a $50 voucher for each of the questions. So, Smitey, over to you, mate.
Can you see that okay, Lee?
Got it.
Got it. Beauty. The only difference between Matt Hare and myself is Matt parts his hair on the left and I part mine on the right, but we're both very good-looking blokes. I've got a head for radio. That's why I'm in it. Thanks for introducing me, Lee and Sam. Look, I'm not sure how many people were at the upfronts this year or managed to stream it post the event, but we launched the Nine Traffic Network. For those of you who don't know, about 2 years ago, we parted ways with ATN via our talkback radio stations and started selling our own traffic reports. We did a pretty ordinary job of letting the market know about knowing that we were doing it ourselves, but basically there's nothing better than a bit of a relaunch up front and a new logo to try and get things moving. And then today I'll speak to you through the audio component, but how we've then pushed that across Nine's ecosystem. Over COVID, and I guess most of you, I think there's a mix of Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane people on this call, but for those in Sydney and Melbourne who know what a real lockdown's like, it was pretty tough going, but we've come out of that, and now you find that basically the normal working week has completely changed. So some people are in the office 4 days, some 2 days, and the commute has changed. People are coming in later, leaving earlier, so it's quite an unpredictable experience. From that, in February this year, KPMG conducted a study of what traffic's like post-COVID, and what they did find is that public transport is 20% below I guess what it was pre-COVID. And although the peak hour has changed, the commute has become a lot longer. And as such, the way we deliver information and how we deliver information on traffic needs to change based on this. I'll play a bit of audio. So let me know, Lee, if this doesn't work.
This is the Nine Traffic Network. Up to the second information, live and local. When Australia is on the move, NTN gets you where you need to go.
There's a broken down truck on the Great Western Highway.
The Nine Traffic Network provides up to the second information, not pre-recorded, with voices you know and information you can trust, helping you to make better decisions on the road.
Add an extra couple of minutes if you're heading out towards Geelong on the West Gate.
And when our vast #1 audience tunes in for the traffic, your brand can take them there.
Let's go.
NTN is simple to buy, conveniently flexible, completely customizable, and entirely effective. It's the Nine Traffic Network. Live and local.
I hope you could hear that okay, but just some further detail. Basically, what from a talkback station network, we want to be live and local in each state, and it's very important that we talk to the communities and the people in each of those states, and they want to consume information that is only really relevant to them. So in terms of our traffic reports, there's no difference. What you'll find is across our different talkback stations, depending on what market you're in, the personality delivering these radio reports will become synonymous and weaved into the stations. These traffic reports will be updated every 10 minutes. So they're always up to date. And not only will it be able to be consumed via audio or radio, but across Nine's assets. And I'll talk to you a bit about this further in a minute. We also did a study last year called It's Time We Talked, where we went and interviewed and did a lot of research on our audience, where we found that from a talkback perspective, listeners come to us not only for our talent, for their opinion, but they come to us for news, weather, traffic. And again, that's why I guess it's important that we get this asset right, because people come, it's a lean-in moment that they're listening into, which can effectively change their traffic habits and day. As I was talking to earlier, across our talkback stations, so for the last 2 years, we've been doing our own traffic updates, although we haven't communicated it very well. So this mirrors exactly what ATN does, so from a 10-second perspective, but we've made a further, I guess, iteration to this, which I'll speak to you a bit in a minute. And then from a TV perspective as well, so just before the upfronts, we also parted ways with ATN. What you can see on the Today Show at present is just the remnants or leftover bookings that we have in the system. But from January next year, we will also produce and display our own traffic reports on the Today Show and in Today Extra, Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane on Channel 9. And then moving further forward across our digital and publishing assets to the middle of next year, where a widget will be placed on our publishing masthead, so the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age, where you can click on that and also get an up-to-date traffic report. So it's ever evolving. This slide just talks to sun up to sundown. So basically you might be just got up in the morning, eating your Wheaties, watching the Today Show. You're about to take the kids to school or you're about to head off to work. You can see a traffic report. You might be a tradie listening on the way to work in the morning to see if there's any issues, basically for your route to work. Or you could be at work on your laptop from your desktop and also looking to see you can get a traffic report. So what we're trying to say here is that it doesn't matter what asset or what, however you're consuming Nine content, and across whatever device it is, you can get an up-to-date traffic report. So why would you partner with us in NTN? Well, it's an engaged audience, as I said. Basically, it's a listen-in moment, a lean-in moment at the top of hour and across the day where people are actively searching for this information, and the scale is large. If you look at just our TV and radio component together, the reach is nearly 13 million people. So again, it's engaged, it's at scale. That's all well and good, but how do you link your brand with it? I'll talk to you a bit about that further in a minute. But for those who are I guess, au fait with ATN's offering, what they offer is basically across each hour is a 10-second credit. So if you look at the slide I've got up now, this is an example 1 hour on breakfast across our talkback stations. You'll see there's a 5-second credit at the start. So this traffic report brought to you by Coles, traffic report, and then a 10-second call to action creative. But we've also added to this, because a lot of our clients need more than 10 seconds to convey a messaging. At the top of hour, we offer a 30-second solace. Now, this can be a client's 30-second brand creative, or we can make it an extra long extended credit through the use of powered studios. And again, in Drive, there's just basically this slide shows that there's an additional 10-second inventory across that period. As I was saying before, and starting in January next year, you can also buy these reports across the Today Show in Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane. For those who watch the Today Show at the moment, you'll see a man or a female in a helicopter with a logo slapped on the back. We're looking to make it a more premium offering moving next year. But each client has the opportunity to buy this exclusively per week. So every day there's 3 traffic reports on the Today Show and 1 in Today Extra. So 15 per week in the Today Show, for example, and one client will own it per week. So you get exclusivity over your category and traffic within that session. I'll see if this next slide works. This is just a mock example of what it might look like next year.
Good morning, I'm Lara Vella from the Nine Traffic Network. George Street in the city is causing issues for early commuters. And this in North Sydney on Denison Street, well, that's affecting traffic approaching the Harbour Bridge. Having a look at the M7 at Liverpool now, an accident there is causing some big delays. And at Everleigh Street, Redfern, well, good news, that's running smoothly. Trouble starting your car? Call Battery World, powering Aussies for over 25 years in auto, 4x4, camping, and a whole lot more.
And I think the key with that mock there is the extended credit that the client gets and the logo imagery on screen looking a lot better, a lot more detail for the consumer too. So the consumer gets a better experience when watching the program, but making sure that the brand is connected with the offering. Also, as we move forward next year, at present, you can stream 2GB, 3AW, 4BC via your app or basically via your laptop. And at the moment, when you stream, you can see up the top of the 3AW page there's a listen live. Next to that, as we redo all our station home pages, web pages, and our apps next year, there'll also be an ability to push a button and get the most up-to-date traffic report. On our apps at present, you can already get these traffic reports, which is basically exactly what was, it's repurposed straight off what goes live on linear radio onto our app. But in fairness, the apps don't look that great and the user experience isn't that good. So we're updating that to be, a lot more fresher and a better user experience. And also being digital, then there's the ability to overlay Nine segmentation or Nine tribes to be more targeted in using pre-rolls on these assets. As I was saying before, then further into next year, probably about the middle of next year, we will roll out what is the publishing assets, where a widget will sit across the homepage and on our apps so that you can also get a traffic report. As I was saying before, it's all well and good to have scale and a great product, but how do you connect your brand with each of these assets? Using Powered, and I think a lot of you would have heard about Powered and Powered Studios before. To differentiate ourselves from, let's call it ATN offering, who when you buy ATN, you usually get spots across BMAD, we are looking to be more time targeted. And what do I mean by this? For example, at the moment you've got Coles Express, McCafe, and 7-Eleven all selling dollar coffees, right? So we could look to target the coffee category and place traffic reports and creative at certain hours of the day. So targeting either it's the tradie on the way to work, it's someone when they're about to get into work to look at basically top of mind, time to get my coffee, who do I go to? And we can break this down by multiple categories in different industries. We could target, QSRs, or it could even be Coles and Woolworths. So after the parents drop the kids off at school and they're on the way to the supermarket that day, running a traffic report with call to actions off the back of those, but Tin Tams at $2 or go to McDonald's on the way home, that sort of thing. We also have a lot of clients use us in the auto category. So be it branding for new cars, it might be tyres, or insurance companies use us a lot as well. And the federal and local governments are big on our NTN product, purely because of the reach and the frequency that it offers. So they've already started using it for, in Victoria, for example, the TAC use it a lot, but even with upcoming elections, how to vote, be it COVID messaging, it's just a quick and easy way to get your message out, and with a great call to action at the back of it. So again, the traffic experience has evolved a lot, and so must be the way we provide this information to consumers. The audience is engaged when they're listening to this. We say here 20% of all traffic buys, and I'll talk to this a bit further in a minute, but basically what we want you to take away from today is that whenever you look to buy traffic, that you look to allocate 20% of that investment to us to increase your reach. And then how do we link your brand and build your brand off the back of this? As I was saying before, it's all well and good to say, yes, please give us 20% of your traffic buy, but what does that do when you do allocate that? So if you look at Sydney, for example, and we're just talking all people, your reach increases by 17%, or in Melbourne, 18%, when you allocate that investment towards Nine Traffic Network. And if we break down the audience, this is across all markets. The white line demonstrates the ATN offering, and then if you then add in Nine Traffic Network over and above, how in week 1 your reach increases by 10% or 6% in week 4. And we can break this down by market depending on your demo and your client, so Melbourne, Sydney. This slide talks to, and the blue lines in particular, is when our traffic reports are running. You can see the peak there as it's a real, as I said before, a lean-in moment. People listening or watching on television are actively listening or watching because they want this information. They're timing the time that they're watching and listening based on this information. And then again, we can break down, depending on your demo, your markets, et cetera, what it is based on your demo. So, for example, if we look at all people 18 plus or all people 40 plus, if you were just to buy Australian Traffic Network, you're missing 19% share when you're looking at 18 plus, or 25% share when you look at 40 plus. And again, we can break it down by market. It's very, and the teams can help you with that. So again, a takeaway from this is, when you're buying ATN, we want to be flexible and easy to use. You can provide us with the same creative that you provide ATN, and we can run the same creative. It's no extra recording or production on your behalf. We can be flexible. You can choose markets, days, times, however you want to consume and buy it. And like ATN do, they offer certain packages. So we've created our own. And again, these are just examples. The on-ramp, if you looked at basically just our 10-second creative, if you spend 50K per month or 15K per week, you would own all stations using 10-second creative nationally. Then also, if you looked at the freeway, that's utilising the 10 and 30-second creative, or you might want to go the whole hog and use the 10, the 30 seconds, and the Today Show and Today Extra, and you're looking at $84,000 a week for that. So again, just key takeouts. The clients that have already started using us and the reasons why they use it, they use the 10-second inventory for frequency and call to action. They use the 30-second inventory to try and build their brand, or a combination of both. Then they also look to own all assets. A lot of one insurance company, for example, has basically bought all our assets because they want to basically be synonymous with traffic everywhere possible across Nine. So TV, 30-second inventory, and 10-second inventory. That's about it. I know I waffle on, so if anyone has any questions, please feel free to yell out or message me after. Otherwise, I can share this deck, or I'll have Lee share the deck with everybody so that you've got the information. Any questions? No? Brilliant. All right. Thanks very much. But please reach out if anybody has any questions or I can help further. Lee?
Thanks, Anthony. We might pass over to Matt now to chat to the AO. I can see Debbie's just shot through a note around a question around specifically around traffic credits. We might come back to you individually if that's okay, Debbie, and we'll keep moving on with the Australian Open.
Great, thanks guys. My name's Matt Hare. Lovely to meet you, and thanks for the opportunity to have a slot on your meeting today. Listening to the NTN there, I realise there's actually a bit of correlation between the two, because come January, there is about 1 million people that descend upon the Australian Open in Melbourne. So I think a traffic update would be an opportunity for a brand to potentially own, the conversation around both of those elements in that period. So, so it dawned on me listening to that. But so thanks for the opportunity, guys. Welcome to Tennis on Nine in 2023. And you might notice I didn't really talk about the summer of tennis there, because Tennis on Nine is more than just the Australian Open now, because uniquely we have all 4 major Grand Slams on the Nine network. So Australian Open kicks off the year in January, which is obviously summer here in Australia. And then you have the Roland Garros, Wimbledon and the US Open all on Nine, which is pretty exciting for us. So in terms of the summer of tennis for January for this year, it really is your advantage in reaching Australians and delivering those big brand moments for your clients, because tennis is the ultimate unparalleled annual sports marketing event. And I think it's fair to say over the last 12 months, there's been some history-making tennis. In January of this year, we all sat there and watched Ash Barty became the first Australian Open women's final champion in 44 years. She smashed OzTam records and in her first Australian Open final, and she achieved another Grand Slam title to her resume. And we watched Rafael Nadal, obviously pictured here, an epic 5.5 hour, 5-set marathon. And he became the first male ever to reach 21 Grand Slam titles. And let's not forget about Dylan Alcott, who happens to be obviously a great Australian, a great player, but also one of our commentators. He competed his final Australian Open tournament in a very emotional farewell. His match peaked at 1.5 million viewers, which is the highest rating wheelchair tennis match of all time. And then during the Australian Open in the second week, he ducked off down to Canberra, he was named the Australian of the Year for 2022. So a pretty big year for Dylan when you factor in all Grand Slams, plus the Olympics, plus the Australian of the Year. So it doesn't get much better than that. And who can forget Nick Kyrgios and Thanasi Kokkinakis win their first Grand Slam final, that doubles match at the Australian Open. They backed that up and won at the Atlanta Open shortly after that as well. So it's fair to say we are really heading into the most exciting period for tennis that it's seen in a long time. And these are the big moments that brands can be part of, which is the exciting part of what I get to do with working with you guys. I'm going to share with you a reel now that really brings to life what Tennis on 9 means. I hope the experience is okay on Google Meets with the reel.
From community courts across Australia, to the head of the main stage, just Aussie fans just can't get enough. The big names, thrilling matches, and great stories. Live from the blue courts of Melbourne to the orange clay of Paris, the green grass of Wimbledon, and the hard courts of New York. Be part of the world's biggest tennis tournaments all year round. Across TV, streaming, print, digital, audio solutions, and more. There's only one place to engage with tennis fans to take you closer to the action. Advantage Nadal, Advantage Swiatek, Advantage Tomljanovic, Advantage Diesel, Advantage you. Nine, your home of tennis.
Now, the world of sport doesn't stand still, and neither can its coverage. It's fair to say that the expectations of the audiences continue to change on how they consume their sport content. We understand that today's audience has a real hunger for a steady feed of both push and pull content and immersion, not just those kind of key match day spikes. So therefore, moving into next year, our content will evolve to meet this changing need. The capability now of audiences to have 24/7 intel every single day of the year about tennis, the players, the tournaments, and the results, it really becomes even more crucial that we make sure we're amplifying that content across our ecosystem at Nine as we move into next year. I think what's exciting with tennis is it offers an experience like no other sport can when it comes to technology. And here at Wildwater Sports, we invest heavily to ensure that the viewing experience that you receive at home is just as good as what you would experience that when you have that experience in the stadium. And innovation is really what drives Wildwater Sports, and this year will be no different. We'll be utilising cutting-edge technology to advantage the viewer at home with their experience. So, for example, the analyzer technology is a piece of is an asset that we have in the broadcast that enables us to really break down the plays. So it uses the latest in what we call Hawkeye technology, which is pretty much, if you watch the cricket, the Hawkeye technology is the ball tracker. It's tracking the LBW decisions. That's that technology that we introduced into cricket when we obviously had the rights for cricket. But we've taken that Hawkeye technology now across to the tennis, and we can capture every shot, every move immediately, and then play that back and analyze the key factors that determine the outcome of the match. So you'll see more of the analyzer technology in Hawkeye within our broadcast for this summer. And that top photo there is the Flycam, which, to be honest, is not a great photo. It doesn't really bring to life just what it can deliver. But Flycam is that. It's a 3-kilometre cable camera that runs across the precinct. It brings to life those stunning sunsets at the Australian Open as we come out of the news into the night session. We use the Flycam to capture all the colour and all the activity on ground that's happening at the Australian Open, because let's face it, the Australian Open is more than just a tennis match. It's food, it's music, it's fashion. There's a lot more going on at Australia's largest festival. Now, audiences are absolutely obsessed with those stories of tenacity, of triumph, of loss, and of pride. And they are inspired by the journeys of the athletes that absolutely everything they have to try and win Grand Slams and forge a career in what is a very challenging sport. It's a win at all costs kind of mentality. We are now seeing the next generations of talent moving through in the world of tennis. So obviously at the Australian Open this year with Kyrgios and Kokkinakis, they brought a whole new level of tennis that we've never seen to doubles, for example. It's an exciting new era for tennis. Alex de Minaur, who's the top-ranked Australian, actually, he, off the back of the Australian Open, he went to Atlanta and won another title there. It's his second win at the Atlanta Open. Tomljanovic currently has her best ever career ranking on 38, and she's progressing up the ranks at the moment. She has achieved that ranking because she's hit the quarterfinals at Wimbledon for the last 2 years. And who could miss Coco Gauff, the 18-year-old American? She's certainly, performing quite strongly at the moment, and she reached the final of Roland Garros in May of this year. This is the future of tennis. That's, I guess, what I'm trying to say here. These young people are the future of tennis, and this is what we'll be focusing on with our content. So let's now take a look at the advantage that you can achieve with Tennis on 9. Hopefully this reel plays okay.
Australia can't get enough of Tennis on 9. It's an unforgettable stories to the unpredictability and thrill of live sport.
Broadcast through world-class coverage across Nine's total television offering.
Editorial analysis in our premium total publishing environments, alongside total audio covering all the action on our leading radio stations.
Time for a tennis update with Sam Groth. Sam, good morning.
Well, Nick Kyrgios is out of the Australian Open.
Plus digital streaming, podcasts, and on demand. Tennis on 9 delivers premium content all day long, harnessing the best, most innovative technology in the country.
There's no media company more advanced than Nine, connecting with millions of Aussie fans this summer and beyond through big ideas.
Just in the interest of time, I might just chop that reel off there. I think it's fair to say in summer, no other event delivers a total TV reach or scale like the Australian Open. Across both metro and regional TV, the AA reached 12.5 million people in January of this year, which was up a whopping 11% year on year. And on 9 now, over 600 million minutes were streamed, which equated to 170% growth year on year. So it's fair to say that the audience is really strong and growing. And when you combine Nine's total TV with Nine's total audio and publishing ecosystem, you can reach over 1 in 2 Aussies across the summer period. Tennis will also drive a deep connection into regional heartland Australia, which puts brands in front of a highly skewed sports audience, with 97% of sports fans reached in the regional market. Now we have a bit of a look at what the makeup of what that regional tennis fan looks like. Nearly 40% of them are aged people 25 to 54. Over half of them intend to renovate in the next 12 months, which obviously means that there's intent to spend in the regional areas. The average household income is 25% more than the non-tennis viewer. So therefore, based on this insight, all of our tennis packages include the regional extension opportunity to build incremental reach to engage tennis fans across the country. So in wrapping up, I guess our audience here and our platforms across total TV, total publishing, and total audio, no other platform within summer will compare to the scale of audience that we can reach, with over 26 million eyes on 9 across these platforms. I mentioned earlier on about Tennis on Nine being more than just January. It'd be remiss of me not to mention the other tournaments that will happen next year. Just circling back to some of the ratings that we had in this year across those Grand Slams, because tennis fans are passionate about tennis all year round. A whopping 2.2 million Aussies were reached across Roland Garros on Nine, and that result continued on to Wimbledon with an unbelievable 5.5 million people tuning in to witness Nick Kyrgios make his first ever Grand Slam final. That final in particular drew 1.2 million viewers, and all that happened in the middle of the night. Now, in terms of our tennis strategy and our I guess the timings for this year, our strategy is underpinned by heavily investing into our content and our total TV strategy to bring the very best of tennis to the audiences. So from a timings perspective, the Summer of Tennis will kick off with a return of the ATP Cup in end of December, which is the men's-based team event where players essentially play for their country for ATP ranking points and quite a large prize money. Now, the benefit of the ATP Cup is it brings the best players in the world to Australia earlier. So they want to play in these earlier tournaments rather than waiting until a couple of days before the Australian Open. So we get the tennis talent here in Australia much earlier. And the ATP Cup delivers some fantastic tennis. You know, sometimes it's the quality of tennis that you would normally see in other tournaments at the finals level. This will be followed up by both the Brisbane and the Adelaide Internationals in January, which leads, of course, to the jewel in the crown, which is the Australian Open. So if you're looking to lock in your dates to sit down and watch the tennis this year, the Australian Open, it's from the 16th to the 29th of January, with the Australia Day, I think, is sitting on the Wednesday of the second week. In terms of our talent for this year, I think something really is everybody's back this year, and including John McEnroe. He had some issues last year with COVID and couldn't get out here, but in theory, we don't have that issue this year. So Johnny Mac will be back on deck to spearhead our commentary team. When you look at the talent that we have on Nine on the tennis, our mantra really is when a legend steps off the court, they step into a position on our commentary team. And I think this group of individuals, you know, both sort of, you know, recent and also, you know, some older generations, probably summarizes, you know, the great talent that we have on Nine. These people are both not just entertainers, but they're also the experts within tennis. Jim Curry in particular, he has unprecedented access and relationships with the players and the managers, and he can get into the inner sanctum within the change rooms and within the, you know, within Rod Laver Arena and actually have those conversations with the players and bring a really interesting narrative to our tennis. So that's really, I guess, the key points around the Tennis on Nine for this summer. Really exciting kind of time ahead of us. The new talent are coming through and obviously building their profile within the tennis. In terms of, I guess, the commercial opportunities with Nine, we have three key levels. We have the opportunity for brands to partner with the tennis and also to sponsor with the tennis. And both of these levels, the framework of these levels is both, $2 and $4 million. I thought I'd also share with you what we call the first serve package, which is a really interesting access point for around $1 million for brands, which is across the full summer of tennis from, I guess, the month of January up until the end of the Australian Open, the men's finals on the 29th. It is across all of our platforms. So from a total TV point of view, you would have spot content within the tennis, within the key matches, with great placement. You have access to placing your spots in both the men's and women's final, which is the highest demand area of the tennis. There's an opportunity to extend at this level into Today's Show, which is a great environment for brands to bring to life integration around our tennis, because our Today's Show essentially sets up the day. It sets up the narrative around the tennis. And naturally, as part of the total TV package, you would have spots or impressions across Nine now, both on live stream and also on our catch-up content. And extending onto the audio platform, you have access to 2GB, 3AW, 4BC, and the other markets. You would have assets in the digital audio space. We have a number of product assets that you can access there, running live, streaming commercials around our podcast inventory. You'll be able to access live reads and a very heavy spot schedule on Wild Water Sports nationally, which obviously is now national across that period. Looking at the publishing side of things, there were options on the digital and also on the mastheads, run tennis sections. We can run brand ads within the sport alignment on those key placements within the Age, Sydney Morning Herald, during the period of January. And there are a number of digital assets in our suite that we can work with you around that. But probably the best thing to do is with a brief, we would tailor something for you because what I'm sort of taking you through today is more of a generic examples of our assets. But the real power of this is with the brief, we can tailor based on who you're trying to target and obviously access our data properties to really bring to life the solution for your brands. So the framework for the first serve is around $1 million across all the platforms, but it is scalable and it is a framework. We could certainly upweight and make some changes to make that work. So it's a bit of a, I guess, an example of what's sort of possible at a major package level. But outside of, I guess, the first serve level, we're open for business now in terms of spot packages across all of our platforms, across total TV, audio, and publishing. So we can work with you at any level of spend, any client. Obviously, we're working through our partners and sponsors at the moment, but really appreciate the opportunity to work with any brands that you're working on and give us the opportunity to showcase what's possible within the tennis for summer, which is going to be pretty huge. So that's it from me. Is there any questions?
Everyone's waiting for the Uber vouchers. Thank you, Matt, and thank you, Anthony, for taking us through both the Nine Traffic Network and the summer of tennis was a bit of a launch there, but also tennis right across Nine. I've got 5 very quick questions. If you are by your laptop or on your phone and can open up the chat function within here, the first person with the correct answer in that chat will get a $50 Uber Eats voucher. So first question, casting your minds back to the start of the presentation. What percentage of Nine radio listeners trust our radio announcers more than our FM counterparts? I will take just stabs at the dark, and whoever's the closest within the next 10 seconds. There we go. So it's not 80%. I'll give you another 5 seconds for any more answers. 3, 2, 1. Oh, and Harriet comes in. It was 62%. So Harriet, thank you. You are our first winner. Claire, you were very close there. Second question. When will the Today Show be launching the traffic reports as part of our relaunch of the Nine Traffic Network? Claire, congratulations. January is the winner. Awesome. Sam, I'm glad you're listening. Great detail there. Question number 3. How long is the Sky Cam at the Australian Open precinct down in Melbourne? Mobba, I'm gonna take that as a correct answer there. Well done. Okay, question number 4. How many people were reached across the 2022 Australian Open across total television? Mobba, 12.5 million is correct. I am glad you are listening. Very good stuff there. The final question. Who is the returning host of the Australian Open after missing this year due to COVID restrictions? William Ho. John McEnroe is correct. Well done. Debbie, I saw your note as well. You know what? We might give you a voucher. I'll make it 6 $50 Uber Eats vouchers as well because you did answer all the way through. So congratulations to everyone. What I'll do, if you can either shoot a message to myself or to Sam Buchanan with your email and details, I'll issue them all to Sam and he might be able to distribute those for me. So congratulations, everyone. And thank you for tuning in today. It's great to see everyone and great to see the IMAA giving us a slot here to talk to everyone across the board. Have a great day, guys. And Sam, I'll pass to you for any closing comments.
Mate, thank you so much, Lee. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Matt. Amazing. Always good to hear from you. Great partners at Nine. We will circulate this video, post this, and also the deck if we can behind the scenes, and also get to the Mobber. I can't believe you won 2 vouchers as well, by the way. There's something rigged there. And we'll circulate those and connect everyone. Thank you so much, everyone. Look forward to seeing people for Project Earth if you could make it on Thursday. Thanks, guys. Talk soon. Cheers.